Hello and welcome to Model Kit Stuff. If you don't know me, my name is Jason, and if you're one of my new subscribers, welcome to the channel. It's nice to have you along. Okay, so Table Talk. This is the spot where weekly we talk about what is happening in the background on the channel, what happened in the week that's just gone, what's coming up in the week ahead. And we look at one or two other things as well, my venture into growing vegetables and various other bits and pieces. So for those of you who are interested, we talk about a whole eclectic mix of stuff. And this week I have to say a massive heartfelt thank you to everyone who left a message wishing me well last week. Last week I talked about the fact that I wasn't feeling particularly well, and that the doctors were having a look at what might be causing that, and as a result I was not going to be doing anything on the modelling bench for a week, and that I felt like I needed to just take a break, and that's what has happened. The week gone, I have done nothing. I have done absolutely nothing. Doesn't mean that we don't have some things to talk about though. But yeah, I got a lot of messages of people generally saying look after yourself and we'll still be here when you get back, and that is lovely of you all. Thank you very, very much. Particularly would like to thank Peter Oxley for his very kind words and talking about it on his channel also. Greatly appreciated. So if you've sent me an email recently in the last 2 weeks and I haven't replied to you, it's simply that I'm doing very, very little. I have looked at my comments once or twice and tried to keep up with those, but otherwise I've had a fairly decent break from it. Next week I pretty much plan to do the same, although I'm gonna start doing one or two things, but let's talk about my health, because I know that some of you are genuinely interested to understand where I'm up to. Well, I am still waiting for an abdomen scan to understand what's causing one or two of the symptoms. Initially, they suspected it could be gallstones or maybe an infection of the gallbladder, so I went on some antibiotics for a week. I've just finished those, and that has helped the symptoms, but there might be something else causing it as well. So we're waiting for that scan to have a look at that. Did my blood tests. There was nothing shown on there other than a potential issue with my liver. Now, I already know that I have an issue with my liver. I'm not allowed to drink alcohol. My understanding is it's got something to do with the enzymes. I don't know. And I was told that a good few years ago, and I haven't been able to drink alcohol now for 12, 15 years, something like that. I do occasionally, but I've always had quite a bad reaction to alcohol. So it's probably something that's been there since birth, and it's just part of me and not something to worry about. But you know what? They want to scan me and check for things, and crack on. Let's do that. The other issue is that it appears that I have got stomach ulcers. Now, I already have a hernia, and when they discovered the hernia about 7-8 years ago, there was some ulceration there as well, and that was treated and it went away. And it's looking like probably the main cause of what's going on at the moment is actually the return of the ulcers. And it is very, very uncomfortable, I have to be honest. It affects your bowels, it affects your body temperature, it affects how you're feeling, you're in pain and discomfort. it is not pleasant. It is really, really not pleasant. So I'm having to look at the whole of my lifestyle and go, right, how do I manage this? Because it's likely that these have been triggered by stress. There's been one or two things going on with my daughter, and that has been stressful for her and stressful for me. So I think there's that going on. My job is stressful. The channel, sometimes trying to hit my self-imposed targets, has been stressful. So you know what? There's a complete rethink of all of that happening, and that's what I'll focus on next week. I need to lose a little bit of weight. That will help. So the whole lifestyle from top to bottom is in review, so to speak. So yeah, so I'm okay. There's nothing life-threatening. I'm in a fair amount of discomfort currently. Some days are better than others. Depends on what I eat. Before it was apparent that my ulcers had come back, I had a curry and I did feel like I was dying that night, I've got to say. So lesson learned, and we're keeping it plain for the minute. But yeah, need to do what you need to do, don't you? So that is what I'm focusing on this week ahead, is what do I need to get my health right, and then we'll start from there. Now, obviously, a great thing for dealing with stress is building models, and I've been building stuff since, well, I can't remember a time when I didn't build stuff. Been building models certainly since I was 5, and you know, when I was 5, I built other things as well, such as Lego. And even though I've been feeling poorly and I wasn't feeling up to the complexity of building models, and I'm at that stage now where I want to put a good finish on it, and if I'm not, you know, occasionally I'll get a model and I'll just bang it together. Sometimes I might not even paint it. It's been a while since I did that, but sometimes I'll bang it together, basic painting, just for the fun of it. And I have done one or two of those videos on the channel. So the stiletto is an example. We did something else, I can't remember what that was, but I have a number of 172 aircraft kits, and they tend to be a bit of light relief between more complex and focused builds. So I like building is a de-stress, but at the same time it can become a stress if you're not careful. So I need to just think about that a little bit as well. But I just like building, and I couldn't sit there and do nothing. So I have built this Lego square. I'll perhaps show you a better picture at the end. So it's 3 buildings with full interior on 4 levels actually. 3 levels in the main, but there is also 3 levels. What am I saying? But there is some a roof section as well. So yeah, I've just been chilling out. That has worked. We've made these discoveries during the week, and so my week ahead is thinking about what that's going to be. A little bit of family time. We've got the bank holiday, so this is going out Good Friday, and I'm recording it Thursday. It's a lovely, bright, sunny but quite wet Thursday morning here in Lancashire. So I've got 4 days off from work, and then at the end of May I've got a week off, going to London, doing some various bits and pieces with the kids, my youngest daughter's birthday. So I've got some stuff that I'm looking forward to, and what I need to think about is how I manage my stress levels, and how I manage my health, my eating, and all of that sort of stuff. So I'm just gonna chill out and work through that for a little bit for the next week, which means I don't think I'm going to be doing a lot of modelling, although I am itching to get back to the Gota, and the same with the commercial vehicle, ready to slap the sides on that. So I suspect I can't go much more than another week without starting to get going at that. So I might even do some over the Easter break. I don't know. But what I have thought about doing is I've got some first impressions that I've been meaning to do. So I was thinking over the Easter weekend, I tend to be the first one up, sometimes by 2 or 3 hours. So I was thinking of maybe getting some videoing done, even if I don't edit it, and just get the recordings done. Then I've got some stuff in the bag for later on. The likelihood is that we're going to abandon the current structure and just put the videos out when they're ready. You know, a lot of channels do that, which means you get peaks and troughs on what comes out, but it reflects the fact that I need to do this at a pace and not to a schedule. And we have talked about that before, in fairness. But I'm quite a structured, organised person, and I like to work to this structure. It is me. It's the way I work. It's the way my head works. So I put a structure in place, and then I'm trying to achieve that structure. So I'm going to try and be a bit more unstructured, and that might be the structure we have, unstructured. Anyway, so I have recorded the comparison video between the Copper State Models Newport and the Wingnut Wings DFW CV. Now, I recorded it, and I think it's going to be a cracking video that people will be enjoying. That is a cracking kit, but this is probably the most detailed Wingnut Wings kit I have ever seen. There is so much in there, sprue after sprue after sprue. You get a lot of spares and things like that. There's a lot of options in there, but it's probably the most, from a number count point of view, it's probably the most complicated Wingnut Wings kit I've come across. Certainly the most complicated one in my stash. And you think about the Gotha, it's huge. It's huge compared to this, but the part count on this must be three times what's in the Gotha, because you've got fairly complex large cockpit in the Gotha. You've got 2 engines, and then the rest of it is 2 massive floats and some massive wings, and that's it. This, oh my gosh, there's tons and tons and tons of stuff. There's fuel tanks that you've not got in the Gotha. There's all sorts of detail in there. But this is also very detailed. Nothing like the part count, but I'm deeply impressed at the 2 Copper State model kits that I've got. And of course, this week, the Qatari Spitfire has been popping up on YouTube videos. If you want to know what that kit looks like, pop over to Peter Oxley's channel. If I remember, I'll put a link into his video, and he does a really cracking review of it, gets the sprues out of the bag so we can get some nice close-ups. Gotta be honest, it's a lovely model. I cancelled mine because I realised there was no engine in it, and at 132 scale I really wanted an engine, and having the Airfix 124 Spitfire, I felt I couldn't justify the spend on another Spitfire that didn't quite deliver what the Airfix one did. I have no doubt in terms of a build experience, it's probably a beautiful kit. It looks very Wingnut Wings, the instructions, the presentation and so on. So you almost feel like it's a continuation of what Wingnut Wings might have done. We know they were working on the Lancaster. We'll come back to that in a minute. So maybe they were starting to branch out away from just Great War subjects. So who knows? So to say that Wingnut Wings is gone, I think is possibly not quite right. And I've not heard anything about what's happened to the tooling other than some bits of tooling that have been bought by other companies. So we know that Meng bought the triplane, for example, and we know that Border bought some, but where's the rest of it? Because if that's still owned by the previous owners, then maybe that's going to reappear at some point under Qatari. Or is it owned by the company and it's an asset, and there's a lot of value in the material of tooling metals, and it's just been scrapped? Who knows? I just got a feeling that we're going to see some of the old stuff again at some point, but maybe that's just a hope. Right then, the Border Lancaster nose art version. So I think I'm fairly sure I've mentioned that I have this. We all know that it's Wingnut Wings. So with the exception of the instructions, which are dreadful, the kit itself, the plastic, is Wingnut Wings. So I've had a good look at this now, and I'm going to film a first impressions video of it. So give you my view and just step back and go through all the sprues and tell you what I think about it. Now, there is a little something lacking from the kit, and obviously when you think about a Lancaster, a lot of them had nice nose art, which is what this comes from. A lot of people can't buy into the full 132 scale aircraft because either they've got apologies either they've got not enough space to display it, which is where I am with it. As much as I'd love to build it, where am I going to put it? So what's the point? Some people just don't have the money, just can't justify a high ticket item like that, and that's fair enough. It's a hobby. Not everyone can do everything. So this is a great little solution because you get the fun of building all the interior bits, which, for me, the fun is in the building, and there's lots of detail in there. So that'll be a really enjoyable thing. You do get to see the interior, and I'm going to have a look at maybe what we can do is do a cutout, possibly. But I think the way the kit's constructed is it's difficult to do that. I think there's outer skin, inner skin, and the way it's molded, I think, is going to prevent it doing that. But we can talk about that in the first impressions. But it sits on a stand, and there is a picture of it. Let's see. There we go. So you can see how this thing sits. So the stand sort of works like a shadow of the nose, and it's from just about the wing roots forward. And actually, the stand is quite tall, so it's not low to the ground. They're giving you the distance as if this thing is stood on its wheels and you're just seeing the forward section, and it's angled like it is, sat on a runway, so that there is quite a bit of height there, and it just sort of looks a little bit odd when you've not got the wheels and stuff to give you a bit of perspective. So I thought it needed a little something, and my solution to that is that I have a resin 132 scale pilot that I'm going to put on there, and I have checked, and he will stand on that base underneath the nose of the Lancaster, and actually it's going to look really quite good. So I'm going to just take this guy out and give you a view of what he will look like once he's painted up. It's a lovely lovely figure. It's from a company called Aero Bonus. Never had anything from them before, and sometimes these companies, you buy something from them, you never see them again. But this is a beautiful figure, very well done, and he's going to look like that when he's finished. So it's a great standalone figure, and I can't think of a better way of displaying the figure than to have him stood underneath the nose of a Lancaster. But equally, the Lancaster on its own just needed a little something. So maybe you could put a 132 scale bouncing bomb under it or something like that. But I've mentioned bouncing bomb. Obviously, it's 80 years since the very famous Dam Buster raids in May, and I had been planning to build my Dam Busters 1:72 scale Airfix Lancaster, but it would appear that what was obvious to me is also obvious to a lot of people, and there's lots and lots of people talking about building Lancasters now, and you know, do I want to build yet another Lancaster when everyone else is building them? I haven't built a Lancaster for years, I've got to say. I built a Wellington about 3 years ago, the new tool from Airfix, and thoroughly enjoyed it. It's a beautiful kit. But actually, I think what we'll do is we'll do our first impressions of this in May, and this, I think, is probably what's going to follow the GOTA, because yeah, it's a beautiful kit on the inside. It's got some challenges, but that's mainly the stuff that Border have added. So we can work through the challenges. The clear parts are dreadful, and the instructions are dreadful, but I'm not going to ruin the first impressions. We'll have a good look at it. We'll have a talk about it. We'll talk about the intention. We'll also talk about this chap here, and have a look at that. And I think what we'll do is in May, we'll put out the first impressions of that, and then we'll build it to commemorate 80 years. Now then, just after I recorded last week's Table Talk, I had a really pleasant surprise. That day, I got the postman knock at the door, and I got a delivery. And this is it here. It's the MPC Dukes of Hazzard 1/25 scale Dodge Charger. Now, you do not know how special that moment was for me. Let me tell you why. I have been after one of those for years. When I was a kid, and I don't remember what years it was on, but when it was on British TV, I used to watch it religiously. Absolutely loved it. It was such a fun program. The car charging around, even the titles of the program were fun. It used to do, they must have gone through loads of those vehicles, because every time it jumped, they pretty much wrote a car off by the looks of it. You'd see it land and bits go flying off, and the body would banana and stuff, and then they'd cut to it driving off. Yeah, right. But it was good fun. And so I've been after one of these for years, and in the UK, these are fairly difficult to come by, and when you do find one, they are a ridiculous price. Anyway, I've been hunting for one for years, been fancied doing one. Dodge Charger is probably my favourite American muscle car. You know, and if I could get hold of one, a real one in the UK, and I had somewhere to put it, because I don't have a garage, I have communal parking here, you know, that is what I'd want to drive to work in, despite the fact that it does gallons to the mile and so on and so forth. That's exactly what I'd want to drive. It's yeah, I just think it's a beautiful looking car. So it's ticking two boxes for me: revisiting something I enjoyed as a kid, and visiting Dodge Charger. Now, I don't build cars very often. The last 2 years I've done two, and both of them have been on the small scale group build that's run by my good friend here, Sean, at the Scale Model Car Guide channel. This is his shop card. Thank you, Sean. So having a car to build, a proper car kit, if you like, at decent scale, then that's something a little bit different for me as well. I say I've built 2. I've built 3, haven't I? I did that little 4T Roadster, which was 1/25th scale, was it? Anyway, this has been sent to me by my good friend Sean. And Sean, I am so grateful. You're an utter star. So if you're not a subscriber to Sean at the Scale Model Car Guy channel, you need to check him out, especially if you love your cars, because he loves his cars. He loves his European cars, even though he's an American. And you know what? He has some great stuff on his channel, and I always enjoy watching his videos. He occasionally does some non-modeling stuff as well. And he makes me feel better about my stash, because his stash is absolutely huge. There isn't a word yet invented to describe the size of his stash. It is a mammoth thing. It's like a museum collection. And in one of his videos, he was going through his stash ads, and he had more than one of these. And I happened to know that he already had 2 of these, because we'd talked about it before. So I think he had 2 and he was adding 2. So he had 4 in total. So I dropped him a line and said, "Hey buddy, any chance you'd sell one of those?" Well, I got to tell you that I bought this kit off him, and with the cost of it being sent from the USA to me, it was still a fraction of the price of buying it in the UK. I probably saved about 50% on what I typically see these going for at a starting price before bidding happens on them and stuff like that. So go and check out Sean. That's your way of saying thank you to him for this model that he sent to me that I will build on my channel, which you'll get to see. Does that make sense? Sean, you're an absolute legend. Thank you, brother. Cannot wait to build this. Now you can see, right, I've been so looking forward to this, and I've actually been sat there like because I want to have a look inside, and I'm not yet. You can see it's still in its cellophane wrapper, but I want to open it on camera with everyone to see. So might be filming that first, because in fact I might film it in a minute, because I really want to have a look inside it. But I've been after one of those for ages. So Sean, big thank you. That is my stash ad of the year. Never mind all this wingnut wing stuff. Got a Dodge Charger from the Dukes of Hazzard. Nice. Right, so week ahead, not exactly sure what's going to happen. Going to do some gentle recording of some first impressions videos, most likely. If I'm likely to get going again with and picking up the airbrush, it's likely to be to continue the Gotha, which is such a lovely build. So that's the thing I'm looking forward to getting back to first. Next week, in next week's Table Talk, I'm likely to be able to tell you a little bit more about what I'm thinking with the channel. I love doing the channel. I love the channel as much as I love my modelling, and that's it's still a weird thing to say. I've said it once or twice now, but it's still a weird thing to say. I absolutely love filming it. It's a pain in the butt. The channel, it's a lovely thing, but it's also a pain because it eats into your modelling time a little bit. And it has been a little bit stressful at times. This is self-imposed stress. You start feeling a little bit obliged. And I think when I look at other channels, I think we all go through this. I think as a YouTuber, which also seems a strange thing to say, but that's what I am now. We all go through this. I mean, even some of the big channels, Night Shift and the like, they're saying, actually, this is all I'm doing, and I haven't got a life. Yeah, I completely agree. This is my hobby, and I want the channel to follow my hobby and what I'm doing, and not my hobby feed the channel, if that makes sense. So I'm going to think about what that actually means. The main thing for me in the hobby is building, but I do like doing the first impressions videos, and most of my 5,000 plus subscribers have come into the channel through first impressions videos, in fairness. So I don't want to stop doing those. I am naturally running out of stash. I've got smaller kits now, kits of figures and things like that, so the interest rate for the first impressions is dropping off. So I've got loyal subscribers who are beautiful people who watch every video. I've got people that watch many videos depending on what the interest is, because their interest is just ships or just aircraft or what have you. But I also have one or two followers now who like their Lego, and I've done one proper Lego video, and I got some interesting comments. So I have another Lego video that's been done, and that's going to go out shortly. I have something special for early May, so that will go out on the 4th of May. I'll let you guess what that could be. And I am thinking of doing some more Lego videos. So for me, it's quite a relaxing thing to do, because you're not thinking about the finishing. You can just build, you can just click things together. And sometimes I free build stuff, and sometimes like this is called Assembly Square. I follow the instructions. And I've got another modular, these are called modular buildings, and I've got another modular building. So I'm going to be putting a little bit more Lego videos out as well, because I enjoy building the Lego, and it's something I dip in and out of usually, but we'll talk about that a little bit more next week, quite possibly. But these are all things that are coming up. The channel's not going away. What might happen is the frequency changes, but we'll talk more about that next week. My main focus next week is to get this all sorted out and try and calm it down and see what we can do to make it go away. It means trying to make more appointments with the doctors, which is stressful. So yeah, we'll see. But I'm going to chill out. Please don't worry about me. There's nothing life-threatening. It's just uncomfortable, difficult, maybe some lifestyle changes, which you can't carry on as if you were in your 20s forever, can you? So it is what it is. Right. Thank you very much. Thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting the channel. Big heartfelt thanks to all my subscribers. If you're a new subscriber, welcome. And if you've been there since day dot, like this guy has, thank you, Sean, then a big thank you for sticking with me. Please stay with the channel, because there's loads more coming, and I still enjoy this, so there's lots more to come. So once I'm feeling better, then our little dry spell of videos will be over. But next week, you're not likely to see a video until the next table talk, because I have nothing preloaded, unlike last week. Okay, take care everyone. You enjoy your modelling. I will see you very soon, that's a promise. Bye for now.